So I go back to Johari Clef and I find Mr. Mandugu Digital is now the guy. And of course, in 2001, because we came back in 2002, guess who else is who is ruling the airways? One, Robert Kamanzi.
Ooh, RK.
Yeah,
RK.
and he has got there's a song called Mwihulu by Rafton. And that song with Henry Mutuku. Hey baby, arcane though. that song had such a groove. Is this Sifubona? Yeah. It had such a groove. So on one side, the gospel, RK is owning that scene right now.
And this is a different gospel that you have not talked about.
Exactly.
You've not talked about this guy.
Okay, the Henry Mutuku, okay, Esther Wahome. The River Road is even later. And then, because before I left, Ogopa had just the inklings. But then come back a year later, Ogopa completely have obliterated the scene. Rough tone, and that's the time, not even
Amani nameless.
Not even Amani
nameless.
Red Sun and Chameleon when they were a group. When they were together, when they were, and of course now this guy Isa, that entire camp, K-Rapt, you know, I was like, who is this guy? In fact, when I went to Bruce's, I was asking Mandugu DJ, like, who is this producer? What has just happened? I'm like, and that is the first time that I'm hearing a lot of Kenyan music playing a lot on radio. Because prior to then, you'll hear this every so often, Kalamashaka, and then I'm like, who is this guy? Like, there's a guy, and I'm like, who are these Ogopa DJs? And then like, another time I'm hearing of a new programming software called Fruity Loops. You know,
from a production side.
Yeah, I'm like, who are these guys? And so, I was like, wow. So I joined Johari Clef. Guess who is working there as the other engineer? Come DJ, because they started doing some DJ. They need one DJ space.
No way.
Yeah.
VDJ space now.
VDJ space. One. In fact, I call him Arthur Wandera. VDJ space was there. So that's now the three of us, Arthur, Ambrose, and we call ourselves the 3 A's.
Wow.
Guess which show we start churning out every Monday, because every Tuesday. That's why he was there as a DJ. Smirnoff High Five. Because those days they couldn't do live DJing
on TV.
On radio. They couldn't do it live, so we'd record it on Pro Tools and send the CDs.
What?
So every Monday morning for 4 hours, Space up for about a year and a half. Space will come with his rig, set it up with his albums. I open a Pro Tools session. He records. I put all those stems for the Smirnoff Hi-Fi, and then we send the CDs to Metro FM.
Yo, dude, I don't know.
And that's why my skill for Pro Tools became good, because I was not really a Pro Tools guy.
Yep.
So Pro Tools became, now that's when now I learned how to work with Pro Tools. This
is insane.
You know? So me and Space now became good friends to the point even right now. I consider him one of my very good friends.
And
because we'd spend so many hours together, and then we'd record. And then let me put this out there. That session for recording does not continue. So every 15 minutes he has to stop. So because we needed a space he needed, because the thing that I said is like, can't he just do the entire thing straight? Then Bruce was like, no, he has to stop every 15 or 30 minutes with a natural ending, so you can put us, because now there'll be other things for the radio station. But it ended up being such a fun gig, me and him, because it's just me and him in the studio. He has got his knee and he's playing some nice music. There's another track by Naughty by Nature. Hey!
Here we go. No.
I think it was that, no. I've forgotten what it's called.
Come and feel me flow.
It had even a nice piano lick. But anyway, so of course now music, now we just ended up. And then he was also starting to study at KU, because he's got a degree in music from KU.
Yo.
Yeah, Space has got a degree in music. So, and then of course Mandugu, because Mandugi Digital is actually from there's a musical heritage. His father was one of the pioneers of what was that song?
From TZ.
No, the Kenyans. But there's a song that his dad did. But anyway, his family is rich heritage. So now the bounce thing started happening. Now I come back. Now my bro is ruling. Now on the other side, there's Ogopa.
Yeah.
Tim has established his own other thing here.
Yes.
With K South.
Yep.
And K South have just changed that. They have just gone and had Nini. What's that Kapuka? Man, the day he did that track, I went and told Tim, oh, you've brought problems to yourself. These guys will start fighting you because it's a pun on Kapuka. Because even I asked him when he played it for me, I'm like, are you sure you want to release this tune? So that's around 2003. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to release this tune? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, kila wakati Kapuka this. And so that Nairobi, and then now also
the Gospel Fathers from the
Gospel
side.
Fathers, yeah. He was the main producer at Samawati, which is so interesting because Susan, as I said, Susan was my first piano teacher.
Yep.
So how life ends up happening.
And Masimaira
now Masimaira now ends up focusing a lot of her work actually in between studios, because we're still doing a lot of jingles, because but also Bruce started opening himself up to a few more musical projects.
Like who?
Mr. Lolova. Do you know who Mr. Lolova is? One Macadam.
What? That guy's like the godfather of Benga. I mean not godfather, but one of the guys who've been
One day
doing
Bruce
Benga.
comes and tells me there's this artist who is based in Mombasa, who's migrated to Nairobi, and he likes some tracks for could you just do some stuff with him? The guy shows up with specs, he used to have big locks. I asked him, what's your name? Mr. Lolova. First of all, like, what type of name is that? And then later, every time I see him, he also laughs every time we meet. Like, this guy, someone was telling me, like, this guy saw me when I like, Nikona jina mbaya. Mr. Lolova. What is that?
Yeah.
So, but what he does right now, there's a gig he did at Blankets and Wine. I think even he spoke at that one for Tandiswa. The guy just told out. I was like, I told him, you guys, this is it. This is so that's why I met him. And then, but Ambrose is the one who ended up producing his tracks, because what he was doing was more like that hip hop thing.
Yeah.
And Ambrose was Mandugu Digital, you know. And so,
did you work with anybody now in this season? Minus space and ads.
Surprisingly, not that much. Because now I became the main ads guy. Because now Bruce is like, these guys come from. So even Bruce never used to come to the studio. He even stopped producing. Him, he'll just go and secure the deals and give to us guys. So I became like the head producer for the advertisements. Me, Jonah, and then Kanji comes back, and he ends up being like the main singer now I'm using for the ads. Yeah. So any ad, and now he's getting paid. So like, can you come and do this ad? And those are the days now. Then the mobile phones had come, so now you start calling guys on your 3310 Nokia.
51 was the beginning. 5110, 3310 with Snake.
Alcatel, not even at Nini. Anyway, so Kanji now, we started doing a lot of work for jingles with Kanji. A lot of ads, because he was really good with it, especially those fantasy what Chagula Tini drop. So Kanji had a good stint at Johari Cliff. Yeah, as doing
and that's
ads.
how you guys very weirdly later on.
Yeah, so now we continue the story, because now after I came back for the year before 2002, he went back. But now he's come back in 2003. Now, a lot of things happened in 2003 and 2002. At the end of 2002, I was involved with the first campaign for President Kenyatta when he ran the first time. All those ads, where do you think they came from? From Johari Clef.
No way.
Yeah, those.
Because Bruce and him.
They're friends. Even he would come even to the studio himself to see how the ads are going. which for me felt weird because everyone was now Kibaki, everyone. So in my head, I'm like, you're doing, but how life? Now he's the president and he's on his second term. And so I even when he became in 2013 when he became president, I asked Bruce, how does it feel? Because 10 years ago or 11 years ago, we were running the first campaign, like everything in its time, So we did the campaign, but at the end of the year, at Nairobi Baptist Church, who is this? Someone comes and tells me that there's this lady who's come from Berkeley who wants to start a group, and she really likes how you play. And can we do whatever? We can meet on a Sunday. She shows up and she introduces her name as Kavudha. She says, my name is Kavudha Monzia. I was at Berkeley College of Music. I'm trying to start this. Actually, it was Ndenya who says like there's this. She wants to start an outfit. I'm like, sure. So she had myself, JJ, Wamai. Now that's how we started playing. He became the drummer.
Because you're keys.
Kumu, and keys. So that's how 4 Winds.
It's 4 winds, not wings.
WINDS. 4 Winds, because it's from the book of Ezekiel, the 4 Winds of God. So I thought it was quite a nice. So we started doing these shows, Fast Fridays, and that's how 4 Winds started. Now in between that, the same 2003, guess who shows up back from Berkeley? Eric Wainaina. And he comes and does an ad for Coca-Cola. Who is producing the ad? Moi. I was like, this is the gap that I've been waiting for all my life. Because now he's coming to settle. He's finished Berkeley, so he's like, I'm coming back to Kenya. So we spent a lot of time at Berkeley. I mean, at Johari Clef. And now Johari Clef had moved to we're still actually on Gong Road. We had not even moved to Lenana Road. Because now Prestige.
But Gong Road Prestige, not
Gong Road Prestige. Where Prestige. It was Gong Road number 45. That where Prestige is. So now, at the end of the year, or at the beginning of 2003, that's when Bruce comes and tells us that the owner of this place has sold it to that time to Nakumat. So we need to vacate.
A.K.A. Harun Mao.
So, I found a place on Lenana Road. It's even a bigger place. It's a house. So we moved on to Lenana Road. A few steps down Nini is Blue Zebra.
Oh yes.
Because Dennis Preet. Lenana Road, not Dennis Preet.
Oh, because they moved to the end of
you're
right.
Right there at the edge. So we sometimes would do if we needed some things from the studio, so I'd go to Ted's to pick some things. And that's why I met Waire.
Yeah. Who you ended up working with again? Coming there.
Yeah. Who ended up? Yeah. So 4 Winds. So Eric comes, and I'd always wanted to play with Eric. But how how I ended up playing with Eric is such an interesting story, and this one, let me tell it to you. So Eric comes back. He's booked to play at Festival Mundial in Netherlands. So now, because we've been having conversations, so in between the time he had come when he had launched Inchi ya Kitu Kidogo, that first album, what is it called? Sawa Sawa. So there are some musicians he had played with, but he was not happy with how things were not working with them. So he needed a new band. So one day I was in Westlands. He calls me. He's like, "Do you know a bass player who I can work with?" And I've got a gig in Zimbabwe and I've got a gig in the Netherlands. Of course, at the top of my mind, I said, Alan Kumu. Like, can you give me his number? Yeah, I sent it to him. So Alan ended up being in Eric's band, and I'm not the one who's playing. So I asked them, so who's playing keys? Victor say he'll play.
They're boys for days.
They're boys. They're like, am I going to argue?
There's no gap.
Am I going to argue?
Closed door shut.
And Victor is good, you know?
Yep.
I'm like, yeah, okay, so probably it was not meant to be. So now here I am. So Kumu has 2 gigs going on. So he's in 4 Winds. And then he's like, you guys, now I need to leave. I need to go and practice. We're flying to Netherlands. I'm like,
I hooked him up.
How come this guy's living the life that I want, man? That's whatever I want, man. So I was going like, then, guess what happens in April? Sterling Quality decide to do Sarafina.
Yeah. Aroro, what haven't you done?
Yeah, me, my hands were everywhere. At the time, I don't know who they'd hired to be the band, which I found strange because at that time I told, when I heard they were doing Sarafina, I went and asked Paul Oyer. I'm like, you guys can play music. We did it in Saints. We know it. So, but I think at that time he was looking for something different. So I was like, okay, sawa. A week before the show, he calls me like, can you come and do the music? And I gave him a side eye. I said, I told you. I'm like, we did this thing. We know all the music. So, and that ended up becoming such a hit show. Because even the writers, Leleti Kumalo and Bongeni Ngema came for the show. We met them backstage. Hey, we killed that. We played that. Hey, because we knew the music. Of course, it was a bit different from the way that redone the musical. Because the Saints one was like a reinterpretation of the movie, but this one now is the original musical.
Whoa!
So there are different songs. The majority of the songs are the same, but there are some few things. So.
And who was your band? The same. The same. Your 4 weeks.
Except
the guy who was in Netherlands
on drums was one Ken Yaga.
Oh, Ken! Hey, Kenny.
Ken, I met briefly. I think it was G21. Then on the way to the States, we met in transit. He was traveling with a band called the Hallelujah Band. So we met somewhere in the UK. So he's like, yeah, I'm going on tour. He had I can remember he was holding his 2 sticks. So now, at that time...
The Hallelujah become now VUC?
No, that's different.
Okay.
There was a guy called Boami. He was with Le Mangelepa. So he became a Christian and he started the Hallelujah Band. So, and Le Mangelepa is the other music that I told you that is in my DNA. You know, there's another song by the Le Mangelepa I used to like. Sorry for taking you back to my. It's called. It's about the airport. Anyway, but Le Mangelepa were so now Ken was in that band.
Funny fact, I heard that they're the ones who then went and wrote Sanjolama.
Of course, yeah.
And gave it to Kanji now.
Actually, Boam is the one who wrote Sanjolama. Yeah. So I don't know why we didn't have a drummer, but I thought of Ken. So I think also there was some bit of me doing these other things. So like my hands were everywhere. So I think in 4 Winds guys are like, hey, this guy is just too now. And then also Kumu now is with Eric. So I think Kumu was like, you guys, see, I thought
we were one.
But I was like, but we're career musicians. I'm like, this is opportunity for work, and this is a big deal. But anyway.
Okay, so the problem wasn't that you were not doing. You were stepping into non-Christian world.
No,
the problem was that you guys are never available.
Yeah, the problem was time. That had nothing to do with our views and our beliefs. It was time, because now we have to change rehearsals. Because now Kungu has traveled. I'm now doing stuff and then when he comes back, I'm telling, because now Kungu was my bass guy, so I wanted him for everything that I'm doing. So I'm pulling him everywhere, you know. So it started. Because
you're the rapport.
Yeah, I've known him for a while. Yeah. So
even musically you gel.
Yeah,
it's very, you understand each other's working.
Absolutely. And I felt that he's the one who could play Eric's songs, and Eric completely, it just like hand in glove, everything just worked. So he tours, and then now and the tour was just at the time when, after the musical, he goes now out for tour with Eric Mundial, and he does a couple of tours outside Kenya. And so during the musical, that's when I met Kanji after he just come. He came from the States, he attended the show. So at the end of the musical, Sterling Quality announced that in December we're doing a new show that is going to be written by Eric Wainaina. You know? So in my mind, I was like, my ears just became like for an elephant. They're like, oh, is that so?
Find a new gig.
Is that so? I'm like, probably this is another way now I can ingia, because in my mind I was like,
Eric was your goal.
he was. I was like, this guy from 1999. I'm like, you know what? And after I saw his performance at the carnival with his musicians, I have to get to play. And Eric's music, how in my albums, I've like each of my albums I've covered one of his tunes. Yeah, Eric is like,
and
he's
albums.
ridiculous.
Yep.
And he's in my albums. Yeah. So either he's singing, producing, like and even currently we still are in it. So I was like, this guy, I'm onto him. So around mid 2003, Kugu comes and tells me during a Four Winds rehearsal, and Kugu is a very clever guy because he didn't announce it for everyone to hear. Like, hey, by the way, Eric has started rehearsals for this play called Luanda. So you just come, we go hang out. I'm like, hey, really? So after that, I was like, where? At Lavington Church. I'm like, oh, is that so? I'm like, yeah. Like, so we Metro Shuttle.
Just before we enter this Eric thing, I want guys to understand, you may have not spoken a bit about it, but this Four Winds thing was huge.
Oh, it was. Because you know what we did with Four Winds is that we started doing, because Kavuza is a consummate musician. Because she had that background, and she's the first singer who I can say can scat. Scatting is that shubaru for jazz music. She has got that language. She knows how to improvise. Actually, I don't think there's anyone who can improvise vocally like her. I've not had anyone else here.
Yo, that's a big thing to say.
Yeah, I've not had. Because it's a skill in itself. Like, you play a couple of changes and she knows how to improvise and just create tunes. She's right. She got the language. She's it.
Yep, and she studied it.
And she studied it. And she was
not
exposed.
just studied it,
And she was exposed.
At the best of the best.
She was at the Berklee College of Music. So you can't argue with that. And so we started doing these shows at Grand Regency.
Oh, that's where it started.
That's where it started.
Yo.
No, actually, the first show was at the Nairobi Baptist.
Uh-huh.
And then I started doing these shows at Grand Regency every month or every other month? So in 2003, we did like 6-7 shows. I think 7 shows. And one of which we featured Kanji. And he played one of the tunes that me and him have written that is so nice, Salvation. That's the first time we played it together.
Dying now. Look at all the countries going to war. Will you tell me what to expect? A bullet in the chest or nuclear war? When you look at Jerusalem, see her enemies around. The Euro's taking over in the east. One world killer overtaken. One world power engineering. Salvation. 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 Salvation.
So you and him, when you'd come to the studio, not only do you make ads, you'd
That's
do.
now my relationship with him for writing
Started then.
started there. Because now we are also composing songs for ads. So we're doing a Fanta commercial, but
You're
an idea that is so nice. Yeah, like that one is too good. Keep that one. Let's write another one. So we get the idea of recording on your what did we have? We used to have those 2 quick recorders where you're like you can record on little tapes. That's how we started recording. Or you record it. You open a page on Logic and record it quickly, and then save it.
So Salvation, that's where that song was birthed on.
And a lot of the songs that even are here, that's
Domestics and things like that.
No, that was later.
Okay.
But a good chunk of the songs that are in my record or in his records, that's where we started writing. My relationship with him for composing.
Your musical relationship.
Yeah. Our collaboration started there. So for Wins, we did some very nice shows. There's one, especially that one in September. Woo, that was such a nice gig. Because it was managed by the Origin company, which is in Kenya, and they were just good at putting up events.
Yep.
And so the performance thing now I started getting out, even now improvising. Then in 2003, a guy showed up from the Netherlands, and Jacob is the one who told me, like, hey, there's this dude who has come from the Netherlands. His name is Menno de Boer. The guy is a legit pianist. As guys have been lying to us. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, the guy has the language. I'm like, where is he playing? He's playing at Kengeles. Like, so I should go check him. I'm like, yeah. Let me tell you, I went there. It's like I felt like all the stuff that I knew, I felt like tearing it up and just going like, yeah. What he knew the stuff. Now this is the guy.
When you say he knew,
it's like the language, because with music, like even he's fast, he just has a command on the piano. There's a limit, especially if you're not exposed. That's why exposure is good.
I get what you're saying.
If you're not exposed to but then they're like, who can teach you?
You only know what you know.
Yeah, and then even if you know these other stuff, these other knowledge, well, who can show it to me? So man, after that gig, I went and called Jacob and like, yep. And that he actually challenged me and Jacob to become better piano players.
Nice.
Because now, how can he be booked to playing at Tamambos and all these places, and us guys are just there? We're not saying that we are not as, but especially soloing and improvising. Because I was like, where do these guys get their ideas from? How do you break up into a solo? And that's the thing that I was not doing at that time, but I wanted to.
I get.
But here comes a guy who knows how to do it. It just woo.
So you'd ask him.
Yeah.
Nice.
So me, I want to know.
You want to learn.
I want to learn. I'm not going to that's what I want.
Yep.
So I started asking him, he was an interesting character. So people were shy and felt intimidated. And I was like, right. The most he can tell me is no. So I went and asked him. And he's the one who started telling me about modes. Man, that guy. Woo. And so that's 2003. That story I was about telling you about for Luanda with Kongo. He tells me that the auditions are happening. No, they've started doing the first reading, and the rehearsals have started. So, me and myself and I and Kongo showed up at Lavington. So, Kongo goes and sits down and sits on the bass. So I see a drummer called Henry Saha. And strange, years later, I ended up working with his brother as one of the producers at Capital FM, Henry Saha, Leo Saha, anyway, DJ Leo. And so, me, I go and see Tuko, because me, I'm just observing. And then I'm like, and I'm hearing him, Eric is singing the songs and playing on the piano. And it sounds so nice. I'm like, Aki. Though in my mind, I'm like, Aki, for real today, I'm just going to ask the guy, can I play this music? But for me, apart from the music, me, I was mainly interested in his music. I'm like, the music is great, because in my mind, I'm like, okay, the musical will be over, then probably we'll go back to Victor. There's a way I have to play for this guy. So like, there has to be a way. So, Paul Oyer and all these guys for Stalin Q come, Mr. William Obaga, who was like the musical consultant, was there. And Mr. William Obaga had taught Eric when he was in St. Mary's.
Let me ask.
Yes.
When Kijiji, there was a sister called Monica Obaga.
That's the daughter.
Oh, that's the daughter.
Yeah. Of
Yo.
Mr. William. Yeah.
This one is tiny.
Small, eh?
It's so small.
Who was a classmate with my sis. That's a whole other story.
Chick has an amazing voice.
Oh, absolutely.
Amazing voice.
Man.
Hey.
So I'm seated there, and Eric is playing all these songs for Lorna. I'm like, okay. Then he's like, this is the band, and that's where I officially meet Atemi.
Bro.
Because she was the singer. Because I'd done 1 or 2 jingles at Bruce's, but every time it seemed like we were just always crossing.
Yep.
We never really met. But that's the first time like we had a conversation. Like, hello, Nini. I'm like, oh yeah. She's like, I toured with your sister. Like yeah. So and you know.
Yes, because them they were in the group, but then they left to do that into thing.
Atemi is in the league of Miriam Makeba. Let me say that again, for the record. I personally have not heard a voice like that in a minute. Atemi is a Miriam Makeba.
Aroro, let me ask you now, real talk. I've got a hard question for you.
Yes.
What is wrong with us then? How can you be telling me Atemi is in the league of Miriam Makeba, but I don't feel like the Kenyan appreciation is there?
I think I was going to say that later, but I think it's. I was going to say that that's what made me move to the US. Kenya has an acute or chronic problem, which is a cancer of completely disregarding the arts.